Okay, meet Keith. This is Keith. Creepy Keith is what I like to call him too. Keith came about when David wanted me to create a new mini for the game he's been writing that we've been playing with our kids in the campaign that we've been doing together. To get some inspiration beyond the monster manual photo, I did a Google search. And of course, it thought I wanted an image search something along the lines of this, instead of something that looks like this. My advice to you is that if you're looking at Google for inspiration, make sure you type in the name of the monster, the creature, whatever it is, and add in Dungeons and Dragons. Otherwise, you might get some interesting photos, which maybe you can put to use for something else. However, it wasn't exactly what I needed for this particular project. Once I got a sense of what it was, though, it definitely gave me that point of inspiration. So I knew I was looking at a monster that was long and lanky with humanoid musculature and sort of a expressionless, featureless face, just these intense, glowing eyes. So once I had that as the starting point, I pretty much went from there. And what I'm going to do in this video is share with you the photos I took through the process. So it'll give you a sense of how I went about doing everything. And if you want to give it a try, I definitely encourage you to do it. You don't know until you start with something. And honestly, for my first sculpture mini, I'm pretty darn happy with Keith, outside of the fact he totally creeps me out and he has to stay in the basement unless he's being used for the game, is pretty much what the rules are going to be for Keith. So anyways, take a look, enjoy. Any questions, please ask in the comments, and I'll do my best to walk you through any steps that may seem to need a little bit more information for you on your end. As always, enjoy the process, and thank you for watching very much.
Knowing that I wanted to take my time to make sure I got the look of this miniature right, I purposely bought Sculpey clay, which basically is a clay that doesn't air dry. It's something you have to bake. This gave me time to work it around the wireframe that I made up and then get in the sculpture details that I wanted to with the torso build and making sure it was that long, lanky, lean body with the musculature shown in there. So I sort of started with the torso. Once the torso got to where I want it to be, I worked over to the shoulders and the arms and got the arm details in. Once I was happy with the arms, it then moved down into working on the legs and working on the details in the back, as well as the lower leg portions and the feet. The one thing that I did notice is that the hands weren't coming out the way I wanted to, so I used florist wire and florist wrap tape to create the hands, and essentially I sort of chopped off the arms at the wrist point and wrapped the new hands, if you will, around the arms. And I had to do the same thing as well for the horns. So before I baked the form, I poked in holes into the head and the shoulders where I knew the horns were going to go. And that made it a lot easier for me to create the more tapered, fine, detailed look of the fingers and the horns that I wanted to have for the Nightwalker that I wasn't getting when I was trying to do it with the Sculpey clay. So it was just something I came up with, but of course having this white and green difference, it wasn't quite giving me the full look that I wanted to see. So what I ended up doing was I took Mod Podge and black acrylic paint and did a half and half mixture and put a good 4 coats on him. And once he was completely blacked out, I was able to see that I wanted to work more on those arms. I wanted to add in more detail. But of course, because I painted him black so many times, needless to say, a certain song got stuck in my head from a certain group, and that's how the name Keith came about. So if you're looking for a great summer read, I do highly recommend Keith Richards' book called Life. It's a great read, really cool, really interesting story. But once I had them all painted black, I went back with a hot glue gun and I added in thicker fingerings by putting some hot glue over the fingers. I added in the tendons. I gave the horns more of like the deep groove look and, you know, fleshed them out a little bit more on the points where they meet at the head and at the shoulders. And again, I did another coat of the paint to kind of uniform it up all over again. And then it came to the point where it was time to paint him with the colors, and I really kept my palette very basic to just purples and blues. So I had a dark aubergine purple, and over that was an iris purple for the body. For the horns, it was a dark navy, and then I shifted it up to a light navy to do the dry brushing and highlighting of the detail in the horns so you could see the ridges and everything like that. And the eyes themselves were just a pearlized sky blue. But overall, I was super happy with how he came out. For the base, I just did black river rocks and used the hot glue gun to stick them around him. And again, it really added to the overall look of this evil, demonic-like creature that I was hoping to create. And it's something I never thought I'd be doing, but I'm glad I tried it because it's something I'm now willing to try and make more things with. So again, if this is new to you, take the plunge, try it out. You never know, because you may end up with a really cool looking Keith or something like that as well. Thanks for watching.
Can you hear that? There is a seriously pissed off bird outside right now. Not happy.